Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is yet another Monday morning, and I decided I'd make a video about something that I really love to talk about. And this could perhaps be my last video, I'm not sure about that. And I will try to abstain from being as offensive as I possibly could be, and try not to go into things that'll make this video 15 or 30 minutes long. So, what I would like to talk about today is something that is just been weighing on my mind for years, like from as far back as I can remember. And it's why I don't want to have any kids and never have. Well, ever since I've had to really think about that, ever since I've had a period and well, actually, luckily I don't anymore. As I've stated, 4 years ago I had a complete hysterectomy. So I don't have to think about that anymore, praise God. But ever since I've been old enough to think about it, I've known that I didn't want to have any kids. Never have. And it was never subject to change like everyone told me it was. And that's what really made me mad. And of course, I could probably write a book on all the many reasons why. But, as I've stated before on so many videos that I just don't want to waste another minute really talking about it. I have this mental hang up about bodily functions, particularly number 2. And I just could never think normally about that, to the point where it's just not realistic to think that I could have a child and go through the nightmare that is potty training, because the very mention of the subject makes me want to throw up every time I hear about it, and it just makes my heart beat, like I'm having a heart attack or something. Like my Fitbit has actually registered cardio, just from the anticipation around the subject, and thinking about BMs and just everything to do with that. Like, I seriously wish I were lying about the fact that watching Rugrats Go Wild, which I made a 15-minute video about a couple weeks ago, has actually put 14 minutes of cardio on my Fitbit, simply because, as I've stated a million times if I've said it once, Angelica goes number 2 in her pants around 65 to 70 minutes. So, yep. So of course I couldn't have any kids, and not only could I not have any kids of my own, I also would never want to work with or care for children, that are that age and younger, and still, possibly going number 2 in their clothes or diaper or whatever it is that they wear. And of course, there's a misconception that children just potty train just like that and never again do it, for the rest of their lives. Well, I know from my own sister, as I've said before, but that is simply not the case. She had accidents well into her teens, and it kind of caused a rift between us as sisters. I just wanted to have a normal relationship with my sister, but pooping in her panties is just not how I had envisioned my future teen sister when I myself had been a teen. So, that sort of thing just really makes it impossible for me to ever want anything to do with a child in the way of parenting, or just having a really close relationship with them. And the other thing that I really have a hang up about is the common cold, which has been an obsession of mine since I was 13, for sure. And I'm just OCD about, germs and just not wanting to be around particularly young children, because they're just not very clean about it when they have one, and they get a lot more than adults simply because their immune systems are not developed yet. And so, I've gotten to the point where, thankfully, knock on wood, I get about one every 12 to 18 months. Like, I got one around the Christmas holidays last year, and I hadn't had one since October of 2018, and before that, it had been at least 2 years since I had one before. So, yeah, I get them very seldomly, but when I do, I mean, they can be really bad. Like, thankfully, I've never been to the doctor about one since I was 9 years old, but I mean, I get that wheezing in my chest. Like, I get asthma like symptoms, and my voice takes several weeks to recover, and as you can hear, it's pretty bad, without a cold. So, that is something I just couldn't tolerate. As a kid, giving me colds all the time and just destroying what's left of my voice. But the most important thing is my own physical body. Now the hysterectomy took a toll on me, but just the thought of willingly having a child that's going to destroy my body and, my ability to control those precious bodily functions that I'm so obsessed with, like a 2 in a million chance of shorting or, you know, passing more than gas instead of a 1 in a million chance is just unbearable. It's just not something that I could live with. I mean, that's even worse than dealing with the diapers of the child, I mean, that would be 1,000 times worse because the humiliation factor would just kill me. So, yeah. And I mean, it's just, but of course, the most important thing, that I've always dealt with, I mean, since, well, especially in my second decade of life, ages 10 through 19, is just the mere fact that it would just violate, this part of me that feels that I should have been male, from day one. I mean, no, I don't want to live as a man, I don't want to start using men's bathrooms and become a hairy ass bearded guy, after 36 years of living as a female. But, there is like a part of me that just believes that I am or should be male. Whether or not the rest of the world ever recognizes it is beside the point. I have a name in my head, and I'm not going to say it here because it's kind of an unusual name for a boy. It is in the name book, but it isn't very common. But I'm not going to say it, but I have this name, we'll just say Superman, for the sake of this video, that I would have wanted to call myself had I decided to live as a male. And whether or not anyone ever calls me he and him, and that name, Superman, is just not, it has no bearing on whether or not I still feel, a part of me still feels like I am he and him. So, yeah, it's like getting pregnant and having a baby is just the one thing no man can ever possibly do. So for me to go through that would just violate that totally. And, that's why I'm thankful to be 4 years post hysterectomy and never once in my life ever wanted a child.